We have been listening to Nadezhda Golubovskaya play the Rondo in A minor by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, recorded in 1967 in St. Petersburg, Russia. My name is Anastasia Dedik, and today we will be discussing one of the most interesting and mysterious aspects of piano performance, the piano pedaling. In fact, I have two goals in my discussion with you today. First, I would like to introduce Nadezhda Golubovskaya, one of the greatest Russian piano pedagogues with expertise in pedaling, yet she isn't well known by many in the Western world. I will also discuss her aesthetic and pedagogical input of her approach to piano pedaling, which influenced the development of the Russian school of piano performance in the St. Petersburg Conservatory and beyond. As an example of such influence, I will compare and examine the use of the pedal in renditions of La Poule from Suite in G minor by Jean-Philippe Rameau, performed by Nadezhda Golubovskaya, one on harpsichord and the other on piano. Nadezhda Golubovskaya graduated from the St. Petersburg Conservatory the same year with Sergei Prokofiev, who spoke very highly of her and later wrote in his autobiography. My serious rival was Golubovskaya from Lyapunov's class, a pianist clever and subtle. Golubovskaya later joined the faculty at the St. Petersburg Conservatory and taught piano over 5 decades from 1920 to 1974. She was a distinguished pedagogue whose approach to piano pedaling had widespread impact. I would like to address the interconnections between Golubovskaya's teaching principles and performance practices. Her artistry was deeply influenced by her teachers and mentors. This incredibly talented assembly of musicians who nurtured her included composer Sergei Lyapunov, music theorist Anatoly Ladov, and Alexander Glazunov, with whom she studied chamber music. Golubovskaya's experience as a student while at St. Petersburg Conservatory was described by one of her students, Yelena Bronfin. All kinds of music making, the atmosphere of the conservatory itself, were without a doubt the main source of our musical development. Many of us understood the instinct that in the becoming of a musician and human being, the breadth and diversity of contacts with life and arts far outweighed the hours spent on practicing at the piano. The studying of a text with a student often involved thorough analysis of its structure and logic, references to the historical style it represented, and, above all, its hidden imagery and emotional undercurrents. Golubovskaya was also an influential performer and the first female pianist in the Soviet Union to perform recitals by Baroque composers. She recorded Couperin, Lully, Purcell, and Scarlatti, playing the original instruments for which the music had been composed. While addressing Golubovskaya's purposes of pedaling and her approach to that aspect of piano performance, let's listen to a piece that was originally composed for harpsichord but is frequently performed on modern pianos. Here is La Poule, which is French for the chicken, by Jean-Philippe Rameau from his G minor suite, performed by Nadezhda Golubovskaya, this time on harpsichord. La Poule is described by Mahan Esfahani, who writes for Hyperion Records. The pervading quality of tragedy is difficult to ignore here, as the repeated quavers and fiendish semiquavers, riddled with mordents and trills, suggest a pursuit of some kind. Perhaps our barnyard friend is being tracked by a hawk or some other kind of predator. Let's listen to La Poule performed by Golubovskaya on the modern piano and notice how her choice of pedaling and performer's imagination shapes the artistic intent of this piece. Unlike the dry tone of the piano when played without pedal, the ringing sound of the harpsichord is rich with overtones. When Golubovskaya transfers the piece to the piano, she creates a texture that is resonant but quite transparent, just like the texture of the harpsichord. When Golubovskaya performs La Poule on the modern piano, she colors the staccato articulation with a flutter pedal, releasing the pedal while lifting the hand at the same time. When it comes to melodic texture in the right hand, she applies a finger legato method to bring out expressive significance of the motifs. Golubovskaya writes in her treatise, The Art of Piano Pedaling. When playing a keyboard composition, the pianist must not try to imitate the sound of this ancient instrument, but instead should strive to bring out the fullest meaning of the music. The piano's advantages can make up for the absence of the harpsichord's timbral richness. One of these advantages is the pedal. Since many embellishments start simultaneously with the bass, it is important to use the pedal so as not to tarnish the melodic note. A delayed pedal must be taken again after the end of an embellishment in order to re-establish the tone's purity. In melismas, especially long ones like trills, a shallow pedal is quite appropriate. Golubovskaya's approach to piano pedaling reflects an artistic intent and adds various coloristic shadings. She shapes every musical phrase expressively by relating it to appropriate rhythms of life, gestures, movements, or inflections of emotionally charged speech. She allows the performer to be creative and imaginative with the use of pedal, while emphasizing the importance of composers' notations. I'm very proud and humble to call Nadezhda Golubovskaya my artistic relative and my musical grandmother. Since it so happened in my life that I studied piano with three of her students. There was Asa Rubina and Yelena Shishko back at St. Petersburg Conservatory, and Sedmara Zakarian Rutstein at Oberlin Conservatory of Music in Ohio. They continue to carry her legacy and emphasize the importance of the continuous listening and ear control. One of Golubovskaya's motto was to say to her students, pedal with your ears, not your foot. To conclude this podcast, let's listen to the coda of the rondo in A minor and notice how Golubovskaya is using the pedal for coloring while generously applying a finger legato method. She brings out the expressiveness of the gorgeous main theme by preserving its integrity and by using very light pedal. We almost hear bel canto and coloratura in the right hand, while the rich sonority of the left hand supports the cadential harmony and then drifts away.